So, I've been watching this story. I've been paying attention to it. I've been keeping it on my radar for an extended period of time. I want to address this. This is a conversation that we having specifically about the people in Mexico getting kidnapped. I got so many thoughts. I got so many thoughts about this. Rita, what is your theory about the people that got kidnapped slash executed, shot at, ran away from, just based off of what you know so far? And I'm not sure how extensive you've researched it or you've read about it. Thank you, King Spart. I'm gonna be reading the super chats throughout the show. Um, what do you think about this whole kidnapping thing?
I think they was over there for some funny business.
You think that they was over there finessing? You don't think they was over there doing what they said that they was gonna do in the first place?
No.
It sounds crazy, don't it?
More to it than that.
Well, let's hear what they got to say, and then we're gonna deep dive into it, and then we're gonna extract the lessons that come along with it. Make sure you get a like for the YouTube algorithm, subscribe to the channel. Again, if you need to kick it with me personally, email me at antondaniels413@gmail.com, and I'm gonna get you set up for a Zoom call or a personal call. And then, in addition to that, if you have not already, make sure you tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the
The
chat.
tragedy in Mexico. Two of the Americans who were kidnapped after crossing the border are back in the U.S. this morning. And you're looking live at the hospital where one of them is being treated in Brownsville, Texas. The other two Americans were killed. Matt Rivers is in Mexico City with the latest for us. Good morning, Matt.
Good morning, Michael. One person has already been detained in this case, but with so many U.S. law enforcement agencies putting pressure on their Mexican counterparts to find who is responsible here, more arrests could be coming soon.
This morning, 2 of the 4 Americans kidnapped in Mexico now waking up on U.S. soil after surviving this horrific attack. Armed men seen loading the group onto a pickup truck in Matamoros Friday. Their other 2 friends did not survive.
2 U.S. citizens were returned to the United States. The bodies of 2 other U.S. citizens killed in the same incident were also recovered.
Eric,
How safe do y'all feel when y'all traveling overseas? I'm very, very careful about even going into cities that I'm not familiar with. I gotta really, really like know the city, know the area, know what's happening or whatever. We've gotten so good down in Miami that we don't even use GPS no more to go nowhere that we go. We be like, "Oh, you heading over there?" We feel like we one of the locals. Hey, let's head over here. Let's go. Like, but I'm still like head on a swivel, keeping my mind right, understanding how people is moving, looking at how fast this car is going, what neighborhood I'm driving by. Y'all just be going over in these other countries just feeling comfortable. Now, again, I'm a look at the rest of this, but just in a general sense, why do we feel so secure and safe just because we're at a tourist destination or whatever? It be people that be going over to Jamaica, they be going over to Mexico, they be in different countries, the Dominican Republic, and they just be walking around in different places that they not even familiar with, just being food for people. That's like coming to a city that you're not familiar with. Go to Chicago and then just walk around the South Side, and you don't even know that it's the South Side of Chicago. Come down to Detroit and then walk through the red zone and just walk through the red zone, and that's just the way it is. And y'all just be willy nilly, just going and get wild procedures. Y'all be over in Turkey and Mexico and going over to different places getting procedures and going to get health care and all of this other type of stuff, and y'all don't know nothing about what's happening over there. That's wild to me. I'm reading super chats throughout the show.
James Williams and Latavia Tay McGee making it out alive. McGee seen here with law enforcement shortly after she was rescued. A convoy then taking the survivors to the border near Brownsville, Texas. The 2 then crossing over to a waiting ambulance. McGee's mother describing the moment she found out her daughter had survived.
I had to hold my heart. I was thinking the Lord. I said, thank you, Jesus. There is a God.
Williams now in a Brownsville, Texas hospital after undergoing surgery for multiple gunshot wounds to his legs. His wife Michelle able to speak with him briefly.
It was just tears of joy, I guess, that he's alive. I didn't even want to imagine what what he was going through or, what any of them were going through.
2 other members of the group, Shaid Woodard and Zindell Brown, tragically killed. Authorities finally finding the missing Americans after a 3-day manhunt. Leading them to this wooden house in Lagunona, outside Matamoros. A 24-year-old man identified.
I know y'all couldn't
by
hear
his
me.
first
I was saying some things I wasn't supposed to say. Don't worry about it. I'm very, very careful about what it is that I'm saying right now. I know y'all couldn't hear me. I'm saying some things that I wasn't supposed to say. I muted myself on purpose, all right?
name, Jose, arrested. Mexican authorities say he was in charge of watching the Americans. According to her family, McGee had traveled with the others from Lake City, South Carolina to Mexico. Lake City, according to her family, by his first after a 3-day manhunt, leading them to this wooden house in Lagunona, outside Matamoros. A 24-year-old man identified only by his first name, Jose, arrested. Mexican.
Don't ever trust Jose. I know a Jose. I know a man named Jose. He was a snake. He was a straight up snake. I know a man named Jose, and he was a straight up snake. All right? Don't trust Jose and don't trust Jesus. Let me say that again for the people in the back. Be very careful about dealing with Jose and Jesus. They're going to spell it Jose, okay? And then they're going to have that little hyphen thing at the top. And then they're going to spell it Jesus. They tried to remix Jesus' name and the Jesus in order to get you to trust them. I don't trust Jose and I don't trust Jesus that's over in a completely different place that I don't know. If I run into a Jose and he's 24 years old and they telling me that he's the person that's responsible to getting me wherever it is that I need to go, we got a problem. Oh, he watched him. Look at me. I didn't did a whole discrimination. Good thing Jose not over here. He would have did a whole live stream about me. Jose would have did a whole live stream about me for getting it wrong. Anton called me part of the kidnapping group. No, Jose, I'm sorry. I got trust issues when it comes to other countries. You know what I'm saying?
Authorities say he was in charge of watching the Americans. According to her family, McGee had traveled with the others from Lake City.
Hey, shout out to our streets, because our streets sent me over that Venmo. Listen, I appreciate you. She said, what about Carlos and Juan? Don't trust Carlos, don't trust Juan. Don't trust Carlos and don't trust Juan. All right?
City, South Carolina to Mexico to get cosmetic surgery. When the 4 crossed into Matamoros on Friday.
So they said that they went over there for cosmetic surgery. I told y'all. I warned y'all. Y'all keep talking about how good all of these foreign countries are when it comes to their healthcare system and all of that other type of stuff. Okay, go ahead. You're going to go ahead and get you a BBL and get kidnapped. Go ahead and get you a BBL because you're trying to get 10 grand off and they promised you a BBL for $1,500 over in a foreign country. Go ahead and see what happened. Go on with your bad self. You think it's cute? You going over to Mexico so that you don't have to be on that Spirit flight, sitting on your knees, facing the wrong way of the seat. Now I don't see y'all because I be in first class on Delta, having a 3-course meal, having a good time. But y'all want to be over there in Mexico?
Her
Okay.
family says armed gunmen in body armor chased them, opening fire on their white minivan. The gunmen then kidnapping the group. A Mexican bystander also killed. Mexican officials now believe the shooting and kidnapping was a case of mistaken identity. A source close to the investigation telling ABC News the gunmen may have targeted the vehicle because they wrongly believed the group of Americans were rival human traffickers.
Or they seen a come up on y'all. Because the reality of it is that you can't be short, and I certainly don't trust the Mexico officials or the police because I'm still following up with and keeping an eye on what's happening over there with Shanquella Robinson. We ain't got no kind of understanding. That was an open and shut case. None of that. Yeah, y'all thought I forgot about Shanquella Robinson. I didn't. We still ain't got no closure on that, and y'all already done forgot about it. Y'all was all gung-ho, and y'all was having a good time, and y'all was all motivated and all of that during the whole situation with Shanquilla Robinson, and y'all forgot about it. We still ain't got no closure on. I don't trust the people that's over in Mexico. I don't trust the officials. I don't trust the police. I don't trust their president. Who the president over in Mexico? I don't even trust them. Nope.
Now, this case was solved relatively quickly here in Mexico, a country with an untold number of unsolved disappearances, kidnappings, murders.
So it got solved real quick, but they got a whole lot of unsolved stuff.
It's prompted a lot of criticism of Mexico's president, saying this case was only solved because Americans were involved, a deference given to the United States.
And you know, Matt, some lawmakers think U.S. forces should be allowed to target cartels in Mexico. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. Some U.S. lawmakers like Senator Lindsey Graham calling for some cartels to be designated as foreign terrorist organizations, which would set the groundwork for U.S. military intervention. But Mexico's president already saying he would not allow troops here into Mexico, and every expert I've spoken
We don't want to use our troops to go over there dealing with y'all anyway. But check this part out, though. I got another story for you. Watch this.
All right, we have some breaking news on the Americans who were kidnapped in Mexico. We have just learned some new information about the hours leading up to when they were taken by members of a cartel gang. NBC News national correspondent Gabe Gutierrez joins us now from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Gabe, good to have you. So talk to us about these new developments. You learned about a fifth person who had been traveling with that group.
Not a fifth person. The story continues to unravel. Not a fifth one. Not number 5. Just so happened to be traveling with him. Okay.
Yes, Vicki, good afternoon. So yes, we're just hearing from a law enforcement official who is confirming to my colleague Ken Delanian that a fifth person was traveling with that group of Americans from South Carolina towards the Texas border, but that person got out of the vehicle before the border because they did not have the proper documentation to cross into Mexico. Now,
if this don't sound like one of the fishiest stories that I ever seen in my entire life, I don't know what is. If this don't sound like the fishiest, okay. So wait. So let's get this straight, y'all. Let's just put it in perspective. Y'all drove from South Carolina down through Mexico, through Texas, all the way to Texas to get to Mexico. You drove through South Carolina to get through Mexico. You don't have the proper documentation to be able to cross over the border. So you just get out the car and then they leave and go ahead and keep doing whatever it is that they're doing. Listen, I was born in 1982. I wasn't born yesterday. I was born in 1982. I was not born yesterday. Y'all not going to sit here and finesse me and try to convince me that this is anything other than fishy business that's more than whatever it is that's being presented to the news. Who forget their passport, who forget their documentation, who forget their ID, and you go on a whole trip and you don't even realize you got it until you get to the Mexico border, and then you just get out and you just keep on walking. You know what? I'm going to get out. The rest of them can keep going. That's what y'all do? Who do that? Is that possible? Listen, Canada is literally right across the street. You can go over to Canada in like 20 minutes from Detroit. Nobody forgets their ID going over to Canada. And if you forget your ID, because we've been over and back and forth into Windsor multiple different times, if you get your passport and you forget whatever, everybody go home together. Don't nobody leave nobody. Don't nobody leave nobody to go over to Canada and then just be chilling and you just hanging out at the border and you just gonna walk home. Not happening. You're not catching. No, we gonna all go home together. Come on, man. You rode through South Carolina, through the border, got out the car before you got to the border because you realized you didn't have your ID prior to getting to the border. Your peoples get over there. 4 of them. 2 of them get killed. 2 of them get shot. Ended up in the hospital on an alleged kidnapping by a cartel. And this is the story that y'all came up with that we supposed to believe. I don't believe it. I'm not going for it. It's too many holes in the story. I am not, no way, no how. It sounds, this sounds like a classic. Come on, man. Come on, man. This sounds crazy.
Also learning of a new video that had been originally posted on Facebook Live, and we can play some of that now. Now, this video appears to show that fifth person inside the vehicle. That video was apparently taken by Eric Williams. Now, he is one of the Americans who survived this attack. He is now recovering from a gunshot wound to the leg. But certainly, Vicky, this raises a lot more questions about the days leading up to this attack. We had constantly heard that this was just 4 Americans heading down to Mexico, that one law enforcement official said they were going down there for a medical procedure. And we've been speaking with family members here in South Carolina who said that this group of 4 Americans had been childhood friends, that they'd known each other for a long time, and that had been making this road trip. But again, now we're learning that, again, according to a law enforcement official familiar with the matter, that there was a 5th person. Certainly, that is certainly part of this investigation as it moves forward. We also learned, Vicky, from Mexican officials a little bit more details about the hours after the attack and the days after the attack, where Mexican investigators went to several different
Latavia Washington, Eric Williams. Eric Williams sounds like a criminal. I'm not even gonna lie to you. And I'm sorry I'm stereotyping, but this is just what we do over here on the Millionaire Morning Show. Shaheed Woodard. Oh yeah, he was definitely at the forefront of whatever it was that was happening, and he was not doing what he was supposed to do. And Zendale Brown.
hospitals to try and find these Americans that had been killed and injured, and they eventually found them in a wooden shack some 15 miles from Matamoros. Back to you, Vic.
And to see the mood.
What none of them supposed to survive. Not one of them was supposed to survive. 2 of them got away. One of them just so happened to be a girl. None of them was supposed to survive. They found them in a shed hiding 15 miles away from where they got kidnapped. That sound crazy.
Inside that car, jovial people, friends going to support each other. That 5th person dodging a literal bullet. Gabe Gutierrez live in South Carolina for us. Thank you so much.
Crazy. So, what do you guys just so happen to think about what was going on in Mexico as this story continues to unfold? Usually you hear stuff about this. This is like stuff that usually happen with white people. Like black people, they just end up dead in this type of situation. They don't really survive and then come back from it and then be able to live to tell the story. They either move that weight or they just get caught up. They get caught up in a Mexican jail, and that just be the end of the conversation. It's either or for black people. White people, they don't really, they get kidnapped. They get asked for ransom and stuff like that. Usually when I hear these type of stories, they say, well, they asking for ransom and stuff. They don't just kill you. You know what I'm saying? So it's pretty weird to me.